Hi, my name is Cole Maley, and I decided to focus my presentation on rule and order as seen in the drama Antigone. We have all read and or watched the play, but here's a brief summary to refresh your minds on what happens in Antigone. Antigone arrives in Thebes and finds out her brothers have killed each other in a civil war. One of her brothers is given a proper burial, while the other is not. Antigone disobeys her uncle, King Creon, and gives her brother Polynices a proper burial. In response to this, King Creon then throws her in prison. While Antigone is in prison, she takes her own life. Creon's wife and son also commit suicide, leaving Creon miserable and all alone. There are two types of law that are seen in Antigone. First, there's divine law, and then there is the law of man and of states. Divine law. A short summary of what divine law is it is derived from a religious teaching. For Christians, divine law would be based on the Bible. And then the law of man is coming from man and is based on the teachings of man. Both divine law and the law of man and of states are seen quite a bit throughout Antigone, and they are also heavily debated throughout. Here are some examples of divine law in the play. Antigone presents herself in front of King Creon. During this exchange, the audience is led to believe that Antigone believes in divine law rather than the law of man and of states. King Creon starts off by asking Antigone some questions, which she gives very blunt responses to. He then goes on to ask her, "Did you hear of my order forbidding the burial?" After this he gives her another follow-up question. "Yet you dared to disobey the law." It is Antigone's response to this that leads the audience to believe that she is on the side of divine law. She responds to Creon, "Yes, I did, because it is your law, not the law of God, natural justice, which is of all times and places numinous, not material quality of Zeus. None of kings recognizes no such law." The law of man and of states is what King Creon believes in, and he bases his teaching on the teachings of man, his laws on the teachings of man. The first example I want to give is in regards to the burial of Polynices. Disregarding the fact that Polynices is considered a traitor by King Creon, he still should have the right to a proper burial. When Creon punishes Antigone for giving Polynices a proper burial, Creon's decision would be solely based on the law of man and not of God. This is suggesting that Creon is a firm believer in the law of man. Also, by sentencing Antigone, he is carrying out the law of man. This is not saying that divine law does not have justice, but rather divine law would not consider a proper burial to be illegal. After Antigone confronts Creon on his rule and order, King Creon is clearly taken back by her accusations and responds with a fiery tone. Creon shouts, "First overstepped the established law, and then a second and worse act of insolence, she boasts and glories in her wickedness." This is Creon's established law. His response to Antigone, saying his law is not the law of God, confirms that King Creon is a firm believer in the law of man and bases his laws on the teachings of man. In conclusion, Antigone is displeased in Creon and his belief of the law of man and of states. She would rather see him act in divine law rather than the law of man, but knows he will not change his ways because he is too stubborn. If Creon, however, did believe in divine law, the play could have took a whole different storyline. Maybe Creon would have let Antigone go, and the play would not have ended in such a tragic fashion, and Creon would not have to live his life miserable and all alone. Thank you for watching.